Get ready, cause it's about time for you
We usually don't
to
know
speak your mind.
what was the stand still. Otherwise,
Girls Club. Girls Club. Super Secret Girls Club.
hello. Welcome to our Wednesday podcast, the Super Secret Girls Club. I'm Navi.
I'm Marquetta.
And today we have a guest. We have Victoria Odekomaya. She's an award-winning photographer and brand strategist, locally based in Indianapolis. And welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, this is nice.
I know they took the wrong turn earlier. Like that was a whole thing, but I'm glad you made it.
Well, thank you for being understanding. There's a lot of constructions happening lately here, so it can be tricky sometimes.
Oh, yeah, you never know. Indianapolis, I feel like, is always under construction.
Yeah.
Every street, and you may wake up and the street that you regularly go to is closed. It's like, all right.
You gotta keep the Crossroads of America updated.
Sure.
It's the best crossroads of America that we have.
Right.
Like, either they're closed for construction or we have potholes.
Yeah, our day constructions last forever, and
Yeah.
you're like, when is this gonna be done?
You know, what's funny? There's this company in Indianapolis that like developed concrete that will last forever.
Okay.
Just like material for road building that will literally last forever.
Yeah.
And that is what they built the Indy 500, the
Oh,
loop
the
with,
speedways?
speedway loop. So it won't break. They don't have to fix it
Ever.
and it's expensive, obviously.
Makes sense.
So even though it's based in here, it's never going to be used on our roads, and we will always deal with potholes.
Right.
Even though we have a solution right here, because not a single administration is going to commit to that expense.
Yeah,
Right.
because the short term, they want to spend a little bit of money, but a lot of it over time, then a
Right.
lot of it one time, be done with it.
I remember when I moved to Indiana, just the amount of potholes was one of the most
yeah.
surprising things for me. I was like, wow, this is a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's a great segue. Where did you move from and for how long ago?
Let's see. I have been in multiple different parts. So originally from Nigeria. So I came here for school, for college, 20 something years ago.
I was like thinking about it. I was like, oh,
Right. So I started out in Hawaii
Okay.
for, 4 years and all of that. And then I
Beautiful.
moved. At the time, I didn't realize Hawaii was a big deal. So I kind of missed out on
How
that.
could you
So-
leave?
Well, because it was my first stop in the United States, technically, so...
you just assumed the whole United States is like that.
I came to Hawaii and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I had some ideas about what United States was.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, this is nice. Everybody's beautiful, nice. And, the hugs. Oh, my God.
So nice.
Yeah. And then I finished college and, it was kind of like when I moved here, a week before that was 9/11. So there was a little bit of a...
Everybody was on the edge.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't even understand that before. So I was
Yeah.
like, is this new? Like it was a week before I was still trying to get used to the culture and things like that. And I was like, wait a minute, is this normal? And then I walked into class and I was like, oh my God. Now keep in mind, Hawaii is like several hours behind.
Yeah.
So everything happened before we woke up and it was really just, oh my God, really.
It's a shock.
Yeah. Shocking. So, after college, I moved to Maryland, DC area. So that's when I started working for about 5 years. And then I got an opportunity here in Indiana. And then I moved here and I've been here for about 11, 12 years.
11, 12 years. Oh, wow. I'm assuming that's a big shock coming from
Yes.
making that whole trip, because Maryland, Washington, D.C., that's a really nice area as well.
It's funny you say that because in Hawaii, it's laid back. Like people just kind of, it's chill, like the hugs and things like that. We have a Hawaiian
culture.
time.
Yeah.
Well, I moved to DC and it was
Everybody's
like,
running.
right. And I was like, wait, what? And I saw snow for the first time too. So that was like really exciting. Everybody was looking at me like, what is wrong with her?
Yeah.
It's like, I've never seen snow. Like, this is interesting, guys. The other thing that I kind of found interesting was like in Hawaii, like people wear shorts all the time because of the weather. It was
Yeah.
really laid back. T-shirts is fine. But then if you dressed like that in DC, people are going to look at you like, because it's such high pace.
Like you're a tourist.
Yeah. So in DC, it was more corporate world and things like that. And then I come to Indiana, it's like all family based, kind of like in the middle,
Yeah.
I guess it's a good, it's a good
Good
mix.
combination.
Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, you had a huge culture shocks. From,
Yes.
Like multiple.
Every single time I moved was a culture shock.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's So you started your photography business in 2021. So how did that come about, and what made you jump into this?
So before I left DC, I went back to school for filmmaking and digital film production because I knew I wanted to do something different. I'm the kind of person where when there's commercial on TV, I'm like, leave it on. Actually, I was watching a commercial today just because I just love commercials. So I knew I wanted to do like video, like something with that. So I went back to school, and then, after I moved here, I realized that, if you wanted to do like a film, it takes a crew, like someone to hold the mic and all of that. But I already had a camera. So, and then I just had my first child at the time. And you know how we all think our kids are the cutest. Yeah. And so I would take out photos of people like, you're going to be a model and all of that. And so I started doing more photography about 10 years ago. Then I also kind of wanted to go into advertising, fashion photography, because I love, so it's again, the theme here is advertising and all that. I do have a full-time job, so it was really more part-time or hobby at the time. But then in 2021, with the pandemic and things like that, it was just like, okay, I need to be doing something different. And my style of photography lends itself to, I wanted to do something for the everyday women. Gotcha. Like in advertising, usually when you're on set, we have the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe styling, like it's like a huge shoot for, but I didn't see that a lot for the everyday women. So I wanted to do that for women, because again, as women, we wear so many different hats, right? It's like your mom. And then at one point I became the teacher, and it was like, oh my God, this is a lot of work. And
Fair enough. So instead of like doing a fashion photography for models, you wanted to like do similar style for everyday women. So that's, I guess I was reading on your website, I was reading it, and it said that you had on site makeup artists and all. So is that a normal thing when you go to photography photo shoot, that you have that consultant for your styling and wardrobe and like makeup artists?
So I don't know that that's normal for major, like a lot of people kind of, you go to Macy's or things like that for photography. And that was one of the things that I wanted to do to set myself apart from other photographers, right? Because, obviously, photographers are like a dime a dozen. Yeah. So everybody can be, especially in the age of smartphones, right?
Yeah, everybody's a photographer.
Right. So I wanted to do something different to help make the, everyday women feel beautiful, confident, but also get those photos too. So my sessions are typically 4 hours long, where you come in and just like, we pamper you. Yeah. It's an experience.
Got it.
Get all the hair, makeup and all of that. But then we get the photos for, usually branding is what I focus on.
Oh, cool. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, that is definitely like sets you apart, because I don't think that's usually, you've done photo shoots. Yeah. Like, but they don't really provide makeup.
No, Chris does not do my makeup.
And he does. It's kind of
that would be different,
right? It is stressful when you're thinking about, the average person doesn't like being in front of a professional camera.
Yeah.
And so when you decide to be in front of the camera, then you got to think like, oh, does my hair look good? And my makeup, even I today was like, well, do I look okay for the camera? Because it's a thing, right? You gotta, prepare. So, having all of that together in one space, I find like it takes out the stress, and you're not getting your hair done somewhere, driving 30 minutes over somewhere else, and and you cannot be yourself and authentic in the photos because you're so stressed about all these other things.
That makes sense.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you also help direct to like do this, because a lot of time when I'm taking photos, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
Like, they're just there that I didn't know existed. Now, like, now what do I do? Like, what do I usually do? I think that's the one big thing. It's like, I just want somebody to tell me.
Right.
Yeah.
So usually, before I even take any photos, I do a pre-shoot consultation or design. So I really use the same method you would for like filming. Usually there's a pre-production, a production, and a post-production. So I usually have that conversation with my clients. We're designing the shoot, figuring out what kind of images we're going to do. We look for inspirations all over, and then we're thinking about how they're going to market or use their photos, right? And so that helps me. So usually on the shoot, I have like a mood board I pull up, and I'm directing them on where to use, put their hands, or we see inspiration. So that way it's like, but then they do their own version of it because they're already feeling beautiful. Yeah. They're relaxed, and then I play music too on the set. Nice. And I serve wine and chocolate covered strawberries. And when all of those come together, it's like, okay.
Love it.
So Yeah.
I kind of want to do that.
It's like it's a whole experience.
It is.
No, that was one of my questions, like how you set yourself apart, and that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Like do that. Let's say if guys do want to do a photo shoot, would they be able to have it, or do you particularly just specialize like nope, women only?
So my core target audience are women, women business owners and professionals with side hustles. But I photograph men too, because last year I did this thing, and I'm still doing it this year, called the Boss Ladies campaign. And so I had a lot of men say, well, what about the boss dudes?
Yeah.
Now I am a mom of 2 boys, and they're like, Mom, what's up with that? What about the boys? You know?
Why are we not here?
Right. We are thinking about something for the men, but I do photograph men. I do headshots as well. So in that regard, and, they don't get hair and makeup. Although we could, make that happen if they want to.
Yeah.
However, it's usually the simple, headshots without the hair and makeup and all of that.
Yeah. Do you ever be like, oh, the guy was like, you need a concealer. Do you want a concealer?
Like beard trim or something.
Yeah, the trim, like he will give you a haircut, full on barber setting.
Usually that happens in Photoshop because it's probably easiest that way.
Fair. That's actually fair. It's like, we'll just do a post-op.
Right.
It's just easier.
It's so funny. Just imagine like the woman's photo shoot is just like very involved with the makeup, the strawberries and everything. Man's just like, here's a beer.
You'll be fine. Right. You'll do great.
30 minutes we're done.
That's hilarious. I guess it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. That's funny. I mean, it makes sense, like, just being open to everybody, but, like, targeting 2 women, because the experience that you're providing is so special to it, unless, like, the boys wanted to do similar experience. I'm like, yeah, sure, go for it. We'll do the whole thing, the whole hair and makeup. That's great. So, starting your business, what kind of obstacles have you come across that just, like, okay, this is... I can't believe I'm still doing it, because like this is your side, right? So obviously there are days you have 2 kids, like it's a lot to juggle. So what kind of obstacles have you come across, and what you learned from them?
I think for me, the biggest obstacle is just managing time and being able to do everything. I'm very vision oriented, result oriented. So I'm always driven to get a result. So I feel like I push myself beyond the normal, right? So just my biggest obstacle is just like trying to fit everything in. I am learning a lot, but I have a virtual assistant now, and she's really good. So that's very helpful. We did like extensive training before she started, so she can really do a lot more things now, to where I can take a back seat when needed. So, but I would say just definitely juggling being a mom, being a business owner, wife, being employee rather, an employer too.
Both. Especially being an employer, when you like hire somebody who's like, wait a minute, I am responsible for this person.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. How was that transition? Like just going like, because I'm assuming your goal is to have a team.
Yes.
Just taking that first step.
I think that, it was very good having my own. It was very, very helpful. And I'm so thankful. I was telling her yesterday, we have our weekly meeting. And I was like, you have no idea how much I appreciate you. Yeah. And I don't think I say it well, often enough. So I really appreciate you. Yeah. If you're watching, Christina, I appreciate you. Katrina, sorry. Katrina, I really appreciate her so much. But also, one of the other things that I've done, so I don't do the hair, the makeup, or the wardrobe styling. So I'm also partnering with other local small business owner, because it takes a team, right? And I want them also to get exposure, and that way I can focus on my craft, and the client can also benefit from it, because we're all bringing our expertise to the table.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. When you when you have a photo shoot, do you work with specific makeup artists, or do you try to find different every time?
So I do have quite a couple of makeup artists that I work with every single time, because they understand the clients and what they're looking for. We've worked together for a period of time, but though sometimes scheduling can be an issue too, because they have their own businesses and their scheduling. So that's when I usually like you would see me on Instagram, like, I need a hair makeup artist, I can do this on this day, can I get but recently again, my virtual assistant, she came up with like a list of people. So we have a database now to where we could just reach out to people and we've talked to them. They understand what we're trying to do. And so that way it makes it a lot easier. But yeah, so to kind of answer your question earlier, like there are challenges, but you kind of learn and go as you go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, definitely. Especially having everything organized. And like, okay, I need to find. That's where like I feel like assistants help so much. I remember when we first hired our assistant, I know Kenny just felt a huge weight lifted, like just so helpful because you don't realize how much you're doing.
Yes.
Until like somebody helps you. It's like, oh shoot, I could spend this time somewhere else.
Right. Or like they respond to an email before you even get to it. You're like, oh my God, that's exactly how I would say it too.
Yeah. Like you understand me.
Right.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And that it takes a while to get there. You know, because not everybody, you just have to find your right person.
Yeah.
You know, and they understand each other and your work ethics and things like that. So I think I'm very fortunate. So
yeah, it's a lot of like trust building too, where you have to kind of like you're essentially, especially if it's like your business, you're handing over something you like put so much time, sweat, tears.
Yes, your baby.
Like,
yeah.
Please, I'll be back.
Yeah. Like, take care of it, and so I will take care of it. It's like really gentle.
Right.
Yeah. No, make sure. Was it difficult for you to letting go of that control, or
I would say yes. In the very beginning, it was very difficult. I would question everything. I would like double check every single thing. It was but then it was also taking a toll on me. So like I was asking for help, but I wasn't taking the help.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so, but then I had to like I said, we've been working together for the past 8 months, maybe even longer. Actually, maybe almost a year now. But I'm getting to the point where, you know, I can just let go because she understands it. She knows, you know, and sometimes she actually keeps me accountable. Yesterday, she was like, don't forget you have a meeting. Yeah. Your podcast today at 10 o'clock. You want to get there before and all of that. Like, she just reminded me, I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah. Like, thank you.
Great.
That was beautiful. Yeah. We were talking about earlier, like we have a huge team. We originally started like it was 7 of us doing everything. And then slowly we started hiring people. I think the control thing is still there. It's just what like some parts like so difficult. It's like, I know you will do it, but like let me just double check and triple check and like sometimes like stop.
Right.
Just stop. Just let them be. Like if it's not like check it afterwards and give them a feedback.
Yes, yes.
Like,
or like give really good instruction. So that's the other thing I learned.
Yes.
Like because it's in your head, you know how to do it, but then you say it without giving all of the context, and you expect them to do it the way you're thinking in your mind. It's like, you only gave me half the information. How am I supposed to, you know?
Yeah.
So just learning to give clear and detailed instruction was something else I had to learn.
That's very important. I think that's something that we still need to work on.
Oh yeah.
Like
it's a work in progress.
Exactly. Because like I think some of us, because 7 of us been together for so long as friends, like about 8 years. So sometimes we can understand somebody without talking, but that's not really true when you're communicating because you're like, I want this done. Nothing else given. It's like, where, when, who? It's
Right.
Like, okay, but now I think we're getting to a point of like, okay, I know we need to film the skit. Who's doing it? When? Where?
Right.
Like, let's just ask these questions because just because you said it in the out doesn't mean the universe will make it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's helpful. So you did talk about like time management. Are there any tools that you're specifically using to help you, like beside your assistant?
I use my Google Calendar a lot.
Yeah.
So I have all my calendars for every part of my life all fitting into one big giant calendar.
Nice. Yeah.
And she has access to that because we don't want to forget birthdays, right? Or like holidays and things like that. I still want to be a good mom. So I don't want to be like, I'm doing all this work. Oh, it's your birthday today. Oh my God, we should have planned that 2 weeks ago or something.
That's funny.
Let's get cake right now. Like, Mom, you didn't even say happy birthday in the morning when you saw me. You know, like, you don't want to do that. So it's just one of those things where I have all my calendar, and then I use Asana is a really good tool that I like. You know, do you guys use it too?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just like helping to put all the tasks there, because the other part that I think that happens to me is like I have a lot of to-do lists in my head, and then I started writing them on paper, but then I'll forget the paper or the book somewhere, and I'm like, or the book can now remind me. I need something to actually remind me that it's actually gonna happen. So for putting it on, you know, on Asana, it's, you know, on any device I can just see it and keep going and take notes, and so that really helps keeps me organized.
Yeah, I learned recently. So I do the same thing. Like I remember something like I need to write it down. And we'll put it on a paper and paper's gone. Because it's like, if I write it down, I will stop thinking about it. And not thinking that paper's not going to remind me.
Right.
And now I put it down to let it out of my head, but it's gone now.
Right.
Like, who knows where that notebook is? I
Right.
have 5 notebooks. None of them are organized. It's like, yeah.
Or like you find yourself rewriting all your to-do list in another
Yeah.
book
Oh my
because
God.
you're like trying to keep everything together. So you spend time writing the to-do list instead of actually doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have bad news for you guys. Because I've abandoned like paper
Yeah.
a while back, so I don't really have like paper like agendas or anything. But I was like, I'm gonna just put everything in my phone.
Oh, yeah.
So now I have Asana, Airtable, Google Keeps, Calendar. So I have like 5 different apps where I just have like different lists
yeah.
for different things, and some of them are like part here and the other part is there.
So you pretty much moved from the
I
book.
basically have like the mess of like the physical like different paper notebooks that
But
are
just like
jumbled
on your
up
phone.
in my phone. Now my phone is like getting full of storage, and I'm like,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
sometimes I also just like have screenshots on my, in my just photos, and I'm like, why is this here?
Like, it's not gonna do anything. No, the problem I have with my phone, I try to do that, but then like when I open it to write to do, I get distracted with Instagram, and next thing you know, it's like I open my phone to just write a thing. So it's like abandon my phone. Here's my notebook. I'm gonna write it here and move on, and like just write it, and like eventually like maybe I will move it to my computer, and it never happens.
So how important is social media for you? Or,
yeah.
Social media, I think social media is important in general. I use social media, but I don't let social media use me. You know, so
I wish I could say that.
Social media uses us.
not in terms of checking social media, but like, you know, using it for my business, you know, because I do get caught into like what you just said, trying to, you know, but I sometimes I don't even go on there because it's just easier that way. And so that's one of the things that my assistant helps me with, like with scheduling. So what I've done with my Asana is like I have a project for pretty much everything, and I have all the things that we want to put on there, so she can just go ahead, because she's also disciplined. I think for her, she knows that it's work.
Yeah.
So she, you know, gets, it's like, you know, you have your job, you do it as a job versus like, I mean, it's my job too, but it's kind of like, yeah, you know, like, I don't know what it is, but you just kind of feel like, I don't know.
It's here.
Yeah. So that's kind of like how I use it. I try to stay away as much as possible, just trying to focus, but sometimes that means somebody else doing it for me instead of me, if I know I'm going to be distracted.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot.
No.
Right, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I always try to like go to Instagram to do like something work related.
Oh, okay.
And then I just, then like half an hour later, and I'm like, I don't even know why I opened this app. Like, and I didn't do the thing I came here to do, and I'm just in the vortex of cat photos.
Yeah. Recently, this happened to me, and I don't know why. So I have my personal, and then I have Normies account also linked under, and then for some reason I also have Sana Social. We have another business linked. So I was watching stories on mine, moved to like Normies, and started watching the same people's stories on there. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, because we follow the same people. Like, I just saw these stories. Like, this is horrible. And like, I have to stop it. I was like, refocus.
Yeah.
Why did I open this? Like, okay, I don't. Like, it happened to me a few times, and I just felt so bad. It's like, I don't know. Thank God nobody's watching this.
I think for me, when that happens is YouTube now, because I'm spending more time on YouTube, and I find that I'm watching things, like it just keeps going. The shorts are getting me a lot more on YouTube now. They're like, oh yeah, and then I kept going. I came here to watch a podcast about something, and now I'm like 40 shorts down, you know, deep.
Everything else is funny. Do you use podcasts the YouTube for your business or anything?
Yes, I do. So I'm focusing more on YouTube now. So I'm getting ready to relaunch my podcast, and I'm, you know, putting that on YouTube. So yes, I do. YouTube is a lot more where I spend most of my time now watching. And I was, you know, just listening to your podcast too. So it's like, I find it, well, I mean, I was listening to stats the other day where a lot more families are tuning to YouTube for entertainment than regular TV. And in my household, we don't even have cable, you know, so it's, you know, so YouTube is what my kids watch. So it's kind of like constantly on in our room, in our living room and things like that. So yeah.
For sure. So what is your podcast about?
So my podcast is about branding and marketing. So my goal is to help, people with branding and marketing themselves, like just educating them on how to do it correctly. I feel like I've done a great job with the way I've set up my business. It's just very strategic. And I think that a lot of people, when they think about marketing, they're like, oh, I should be doing this because the internet, algorithm says to do that. Or like someone is doing that, I should be doing that. But I really feel like you have to have a strategy, so that way, if social media is part of your strategy, then you do it, and you're doing it intentionally. So my podcast is just about helping people understand how to put a strategy together, like what to include, and just not doing things willy-nilly because we're supposed to be doing it.
I will. Yeah, we need to.
We should listen to it.
We should listen to it.
Because what you said, the two things, like do what other people are doing and do what the algorithm says you should do, is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah. It's hard not to.
Well, the thing is that, see, if you're doing that because that's your strategy, then that's okay.
Right.
But if you're doing it just because you're like, that's the thing to do, that's when it's, because you get burnt out. But when
it's definitely hard to like chase that and just always be like in the trending.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling people now is like, at some point in the year, have a goal, like what's your goal, and then work backwards to figure out the strategy, the marketing strategy to get to it. So like if that means I'm going to do 1 social media or 2 social media, and then I'm going to do some networking, and I'm going to do like build what that looks like and then run with it throughout the year.
Gotcha.
As opposed to like, oh yeah, Facebook ads, I think it's working now, let's do it. And then,
But what would you say to somebody that say like, like maybe Facebook ads are working, you wouldn't know unless you try it. Is there some kind of like give them like tools like this is how you read the data to know if it's working or not, or is it more like test it out? If it works, then we'll add that to your strategy, or you just like pick what you want to do beforehand?
I think that so it's a combination of the two, right? Like if you're starting something new, obviously you want to test it out.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, if there's some other people already winning and doing that, then just, if you have the funds, just invest in that.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of like how I think about, at the minimum, watch enough YouTube to see how it works and then implement it,
Yeah, fair enough.
Depends on how much funds and things you have too.
That's true. So you would recommend watch YouTube for like things like, and you learn so much
Yes,
from it.
you do. Yes.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm assuming that everybody who starts a hustle, like when we start a hustle, like fear and doubt is the one thing that we always like deal with constantly basis. Like it's not something that's like you start a business, that's another fear, but like ongoing. I'm assuming you have some as well. How do you deal with them? Like how do you go about them?
Fear and doubt. So I'm sure I do have it, but I think that I am so wired to not see fear and doubt. And I'll tell you why. So I grew up in Nigeria and I'm a first of 5 girls. My mom owned a business that she started, on her own. And the thing about being from Nigeria and being girls only is that people, you don't count. Well, at least when I was growing up, like the male, there was nobody to carry on the family name and things like that. So my mom would always tell me what a man can do, a woman can do too. So that was kind of like how I grew up, and I saw her put things into action. Matter of fact, because of the business she started was what helped me come to the United States. And all of my sisters also went to really good schools. And, just to give you context too, when in the United States for college, you pay, there's the in-state tuition, there's the out-of-state tuition, and then there's the international. And I was paying international fees, right? So you can imagine how much money that was.
A lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then living expenses and everything else. So
Yeah.
So I see possibilities because I've seen that in action with my mom, so usually when I see things, I'm like, yeah, I could do it. Like in my mind, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Like I can do it.
Yeah.
The things that get me usually is that I start doing it sometimes, not thinking about the capacity, because I'm I'm one person, right?
Yeah.
I want to do everything. I'm so result oriented. And so halfway down the line, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm tired.
It was a good idea.
Okay, I should have, that's why I'm really big about strategy too, you know, because if you have a strategy before going in, I mean, there's something to be said for like, paralysis analysis, I think is what it's called too. Like sometimes, overthinking things. So that also sometimes it's like in between. Sometimes when I'm not overthinking, I go for it. And sometimes like, I should have really overthought that one.
Yeah. It's like a fine. It's like that one. Yeah. It's like
maybe. So yeah, that's usually my challenges. But I push through usually after that hump. Like I'm like, okay, I started already. Whatever it is, what that was my dream before, I can still get it. I just need to re-strategize, and then I take the moments and I go forward.
Fair enough. Is your family still in Nigeria?
So my parents, my siblings are in Nigeria. Although a couple of my siblings are also in Canada, but my immediate family is here.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's great. Yeah. Oh, do you have something?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Do you go to Canada often?
So I've been once before.
Yeah.
So last year, and my other sister is coming in a couple of days. So that's really exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I'm from Europe, and I moved here in 2015 by myself.
Wow.
So I'm still here by myself.
Yeah.
I can understand because it's hard.
Yeah, but I'm going home in July, so I'm really excited about that.
That's nice.
Are your parents want to come here? Like move? No, they're fine where they are. Yeah, they're probably.
They are never coming here.
That makes sense.
Even to visit.
Maybe to visit. If I ever give them grandchildren.
They're like otherwise
visit them, but not me.
Makes total sense. That's how like parents go after you.
Yeah,
like, that's it.
we had a really weird conversation with my parents where I got really upset at them because they were watching Yellowstone, the TV show, and they were like, "Oh my god, it's so beautiful! I want to go there." And I was like, "Okay, I mean, I can arrange that, And they were like, "Okay, fine, we're gonna go to America." And I'm like, "What happened? What happened here? Like, I've been here for the last."
God.
8 years and you didn't come once, and now you watch one TV show and you're like, okay,
America's beautiful.
Your daughter's here. I'm here.
I bet they that's part of their reason. They're telling you.
Yeah.
Like it's really about you, but they had to, I don't know.
That's hilarious. I can't believe it. Yeah. It's like, there's other national parks in America, right? Like, it's beautiful. Some parts.
And I'm here.
And you're here. Yeah. And you here.
I'm the treasure.
Sure. They're like, oh, it's just, she will come to us when she say hi. That's hilarious. You guys meant to go to Miami a while back. I guess it didn't happen. It's like several years ago you gotta meet up.
Yeah, so I've been trying to convince my parents to fly to Miami because there's a direct flight from Prague to Miami. Yeah. And I figured that is probably their comfort zone. And also, a place that they would actually like enjoy seeing.
Yeah.
Palms and beaches. Like
it's different.
Yeah.
It's just like an actual like vacation mood for them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I took my parents to Indianapolis, they'd just be like,
"Oh yeah, no, don't do that."
it's just like, like where I'm from, it's like the same climate, like the same kind of like flora, fauna.
Except the cornfields, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, where I'm from, it's like very agrarian, so it's literally like just like here.
Okay.
So there's not cornfields, but there's just other kinds of like like soybeans.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So you want to just try something different?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I would want them to see like actual like United States is beautiful. The amount of national parks and just like untouched wilderness is amazing. And so I want them to see that, and I know they're super into it. But yeah, it's our location is like inconvenient.
Oh,
when my friends visited me last year, they were just like, "Yeah, we want to see like this, like from Yellowstone to like Grand Canyon to like Yosemite," and I'm like, okay, like these are actually really far from each other. I don't think you understand, because like Europe is small and you can get anywhere, with the train ride. And I'm like, okay, we have to rent like a big car and travel for 12 hours.
And you still might be same state,
right?
And, it's excuse. You don't realize how big this country is.
Oh my goodness.
The funny, like I was sometimes like, oh, I'll just go to Chicago and come to you. It's like, dude, it's not the same.
3 hours.
Yeah, it's 3 hours away. Like I'm not right there. Like you can't take a train. There's nothing.
In Chicago, it's like that's inconvenient.
It's inconvenience. Like, yeah, I remember my mom's sister, like our aunt, came first time and they booked a ticket to Chicago, not realizing that Chicago's not right there. And we're driving them back. They're like, oh, it is pretty far. I was like, no shit, it is. Like, it is far. Like, we weren't just kidding you. Like, I was just saying, like, you should book a ticket to Indianapolis because it's inconvenient to me. I mean, it still is, but it's also far. I was like, yeah.
So, what are some, since you've spent a lot of time in Nigeria as a child, what are some of the things that you miss from Nigeria?
Oh my God. Okay. It's a really good question. Every time I go back, I try to do like the mundane things.
Yeah.
Like get on a bus.
Yeah.
Like there's this rush that it's very unsafe. But like, you know, when people do it, it's normal, right? You know, there's sometimes where you're on the bus and then when you get to your stop, like the bus is still moving, then you have to jump off, you know, or like you're jumping on the bus as it's like, I love those things like that, or like riding on a bike, like it's like it's not like a bike, you know, like over here, it's like it's used for transportation.
Like it's like motorbike.
Yeah, like a motorbike.
Yeah, but it's a motorcycle. Yeah.
Right. And but like, you know, it's usually supposed to be for 2 people, but then there's like 4 or 5 people on there. So like you're trying to like, I just love things like that. Or like eating at like a local restaurant, you know, so, you know, I mean, health visits,
safety, like that's not there.
So, but then, you know, the food is just so delicious. There's something about it that it's like, so, but the one time I went and I ate that and I just was running the whole time. And I was like, oh God. Yeah. But it was good though. It tasted so amazing.
That reminds me of India. Every time I go there, like stuff like that, like you see a motorbike that has like 6 people and the person's hanging out. It's like, is he even have a seat? Like, what's happening with this person? But any like restaurants, like dhabas, like there's no health and safety, and you sitting outside. Who know the person even washed their hands when they're giving you? But like, but it's good food.
Right. You know, those are the things that just remind you of home. So
yeah. I'm literally, when I come home, like my parents were like, "We're gonna pick you up from the airport," and I was like, "No, I want to take the train." Let me take the train.
It's like beautiful. Like, let me just do that. That's hilarious. So what is that something that you will never compromise, like doing like your business or just like in general in life? Like these are things like, I guess quality can be one of them, but
quality I think is definitely the thing, and giving value. So I would never compromise on giving value. I because that's the whole, I think that's definitely my brand. Yeah. And because I'm doing so much more than a typical photographer, it's important that value remains, that people come to me and feel like they've gotten what they asked for, what they're paying me for. So
makes sense. No, makes sense. So you have a gala.
Yes.
It's coming up. So tell us something about that. What is that and when is it?
So every year, I started this last year. So I'm doing this Boss Ladies campaign and I always mess it up. It's BOSS, not BUS.
Yeah, when you said it, I was like, wait, bus. I was like, okay, yeah, boss.
So my kids are always on me with my accent. They're like, Mom, that's not how you say it in America. And I'm like, okay. Anyway, so it's really, you know, just the ladies get this experience and we create brand images for them. They get featured in the magazine. So it's also a marketing way, you know, to promote themselves and their businesses and what they stand for. The idea behind the magazine is to inspire other people as well. But then at the end of the year, because I photograph all these ladies and some of them don't even know each other, I kind of wanted to come to bring them together to celebrate. It's again another opportunity to be spotlighted, marketing. Yeah. But then we're also raising funds to support a local nonprofit organization. Last year we had about 200 people. We raised $10,000 to support Dove Recovery House for women, and then this year we are expecting about 350 people, and we are hoping to raise another $10,000 for Pink Ribbon Connection. So it's an organization that supports people that have gone through cancer, cancer survivors too. So that's the Boss Ladies Gala. It's just an opportunity for women to come together, just celebrate. Like it's the end of the year, November 4th. So we're dressing up and just having fun. One of the things that we did last year, we're going to do again this year, is we have like before you walk the red carpet, there's hair and makeup touch-up. So you get hair and makeup touch-up.
Beautiful.
Here. And then we also serve wine and chocolate. So like a little bit of the things that I do in my photo shoot, I brought to the gala. Yeah. And then also some of my culture as well, just to kind of have a different, you know, a nice good time. And
I love it. How did it come upon? Like, how did it come to be? Like, why it came to be?
So remember when I was talking about strategy? So when I was starting my business, part of it was I really wanted to be intentional about setting myself apart. So when I designed what I wanted to do, my strategy was doing the photo shoot with the experience, including the ladies in the magazine, and then doing the gala. So all of it was part of my strategy to begin with.
Gotcha.
And so, it was just,
Yeah. Did it take you a really long time to like put it together?
I had a mentor.
Oh.
So when I was talking earlier about paying for something, if there's someone that's already an expert, so I had a mentor. She had like something similar. She had the idea. A similar idea. And when I talked to her, this is what I wanted to do. She's like, yeah, you just need to do this, and that. And I was like, that's it. I could do that.
Yeah.
And so she pointed me out to some things to watch out for, things I could also include. So that was very helpful.
Oh, that's really nice. How do you choose a nonprofit that you have to like help out with?
That's a very good question. One of the criteria is that they have to be local, because I know that there's some nonprofit where you give them the money, but then like a penny or so is probably what gets to their bottom line, right? Or reason why you donated. So I wanted it to be local. I wanted it to be something that is tied to women, because I'm not I don't know, am I a feminist? I'm not even sure. I just love doing this. You know? And I feel like women are the foundation of a society. And when women are well, the whole community is well. So just looking, that's usually how we,
Go
decide.
about it. Yeah. How did we pick fundraiser, like nonprofit, when we did fundraisers? We haven't done one for a while, but we used to do once a year.
We discuss like, what are some of the like causes that we really care about, and then we look up, okay, so who is the best to help in this specific area,
right?
And that we usually donate, and we also look like local first, and then if it's like, so we did like one fundraiser that was like very impromptu, where like I think
there was some
like something happened, and we just did like a fundraiser for the relief fund. So it was not local, but it was just something that was happening in a moment, and we were just like, okay, let's use our platform that we built to raise some funds and send it over.
Right.
So, but usually if we have like a pre-scheduled fundraiser, we just like take our time. It's like, okay, we care about this right now. Let's look up if anybody's doing anything about this issue here. If not, we go out of state.
Right. And go from there. Yeah, we need to schedule one sometime soon.
It's been on my Asana. I moved it 3 times.
It will come around eventually.
I should add it on my other lists.
Maybe it will happen. Maybe one of those lists you will look at it. Oh my god, one of these days. I'm sure there's a tool out there that's like perfect. But like I have this, we had a guest last week, her name was Sarah Hawk, and she used this tool called Remarkable, and I use that tool as well. It's like essentially electronic notebook, and you write it just feels like a notebook. But the problem is it doesn't translate to the computer to automatically send reminders.
That's why I didn't buy it.
Yeah, like that's the only thing. Like I can open it up on my laptop, but it's not the same things. Like I wish I wrote it. I wish I thought of it, and something will pick it up and be like, "Oh,
that would be amazing."
I would love this.
Yeah.
That'd be the goal. That'd be the goal.
I had the same issues with you before, where I had multiple places. I just had to I just stick to Asana. That's what that was. But then the issue that I started having before, like you said, you've moved it multiple times. That happens too, But like just dumping everything on Asana, because I was looking into Google at one point. I was like, why am I using Asana if I already have Google set up and I could just use the Google? And I was like, no, let's just keep it in one place. And I just try very hard to keep it in that one place.
Yeah, it's so like the thing. This has happened very recently. So I like got Asana like a month and a half ago, and I was like, oh my god, this is great. And then I had like the free trial, and then that expired, and like a bunch of the features disappeared. And I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna try and make this work before I like get the premium. Yeah. So I've been like testing and seeing like, okay, is this enough for me or not? But like in the meantime, like the one thing that I like about Asana desktop view is that you have the notepad there. Yes. But you don't have the notepad on your phone.
Oh, that's weird.
So that's why I have a different notepad on my phone, and then I have a notepad in Asana. And like it's essentially because like the
they don't combine together.
Yeah, like those features are not like supporting each other, like on desktop versus phone.
But that's weird.
And like, and when I look up like Asana, like tech support, everybody's asking about the notepad to be on the phone.
Yeah.
Since like 5 years ago.
Oh my God. So you know what I do to go about that is I create a task, and that's the notebook. So I use I don't use the free, I use the free version as well. So that's what I've been doing. So I guess I haven't really missed it. The other thing that I do is like I record a voice note and then I attach it to a task. Because writing sometimes takes a long time for me. I'm trying to get all my ideas out. But when I'm talking, you know, it's just easy and fluid and everything. Like, so I do a voice note and I attach it and I'm like, okay, at least that's, you know.
I think that's, I might try doing that. Add a sixth thing to my whole, hopefully it will combine together. I don't know.
I definitely see benefit of voice memos, but at the same time, every time I like see that I can't read it right away, I'm just like, I listen right now.
It does, like, I think it does
It transcribes?
yeah, it transcribes too. So because there's a feature in Asana where you can click on the button to, so it's not a voice memo, it's just a transcribing version.
Okay.
You know,
That is a game changer.
But then when I use that, because of my accent, it says it transcribes things that I didn't say.
Oh yeah,
So then I'm like,
That will definitely happen to me too.
Yeah, I think that would be one of those things. I love voice to text, but I hate it at the same time because like it just, and if I pause, it just thinks that what I said was wrong and it just changes. I was like, no, it was fine. Like it just goes on a whole different thing.
That's funny.
But it does save time.
Yes.
Besides like fixing it later. Yeah. But oh, you had something?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I just remembered how this one time I used voice to text in a message to a client.
It was that was the worst.
It ended up something like sexual.
Completely different. I was like, I'm so sorry, delete it. Thankfully, with Instagram, you could delete messages on there. And I was like, I don't know what I said. Let me read. Because it was just one of those things, like, I always reread it. But then I was like, oh, I think it caught pretty well. And then, like, oh yeah, it was done really well. That was the best voice to text ever. Like, there was no mistakes. But I didn't read the whole thing.
Oh my goodness.
I remember that we were both driving home from here, like in different cars. And well, I wasn't driving, but she was. And I was just like looking at the same like DMs in our Instagram. And I was just like trying to respond, and then suddenly there was like a message sent, and I was like, okay, I guess Navi responded, and I read it, and I was just like, oh no!
Oh my God, perfect timing.
It was lucky because I was literally in that message, like trying to respond.
Oh my
I
goodness.
remember it's like, oh God, no voice to text when I'm driving. Especially not your clients.
That's funny.
It's horrible. It's horrible. But yeah, fun times.
Yeah.
Fun times. So what is your favorite part being entrepreneur? Like just having your own business?
I think for me, it's being able to have a vision and seeing it come to fruition. You know, just being passionate about doing something to help people or whatever it is, and just saying like, yeah, I got this. You know, obviously there's a lot of obstacles that come in, but just the fulfillment of it.
Yeah. Are you planning to stay in Indiana for long term?
So it's funny you ask the question. Before the pandemic, before we started our business, my husband and I would go on Zillow every single time. It was one of the things that we did, like just look at houses, like we should move to Houston. We should move to, because we can technically move. Our kids are still like, well, at the time in school, they weren't really in school, like, so it's like we could move them or whatever. But now the longer you stay, it's harder. Yeah. And then now that my business is established here, it's like, okay, how do I do this?
Exactly. So, like even if like other stuff is remote, it's like, you have clients here now. Yeah, that's always difficult.
Have you tried to apply for citizenship?
Oh, so well, this year is when we are eligible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You
so
had to wait that long?
Yeah. So because I was on a student visa for a very long time, and then I was on a work visa for a long time, and then
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is a long process.
Yeah, my part was very long. It took a very long, because I also wanted to do it the right way too. So.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Makes sense. What's your hardest part of being an entrepreneur?
The hardest part is just, getting, like, I think for me is knowing my limits. Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was like, you have to not say yes anymore to everything, like you are one person. Yeah. Like, so for me, it's just knowing that I am one person and that I cannot do everything, and just prioritizing what's important, like my health, my family, and, obviously the business too. But I don't see impossibilities. I always want to get it done. It's like, if you can, let's do it. I'm like, not anymore. Let's think about. So I had to like turn down an opportunity last week. It was very difficult. Like I was asked to be on a committee, and it was, pretty prestigious. And I was like, no,
it's too much time.
It's a whole year commitment, and I would have to do a lot. And I really wanted to do it. Like I wanted to do it, but I was like, I just have to. Yeah.
What made you start saying no? Did you have a burnout, or just like I'm reached? Like, how do you find out that you had a limit?
So this year I have been struggling a lot in my health.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's getting older. I think that's my excuse. That's my reasoning that I'm giving it. But just my body's not working the way it used to work.
It's telling you to slow down.
Yeah. It's telling me to slow down. And my kids are getting older, and they would like come and say, "Mommy," and all of that. And I'm like, "Can you give me a second?" And the second turned into like 1 minute, an hour. And so just... and so now I'm spending more time with them. Like we go on walks to get walks together. Nice. I just want to clarify that part. Yeah. So we go, but that was fun. We did that 2 days ago, and I was like, we're having a really good conversation. Yeah. I was like, I really like this. So he said, yes, I like it. So he's 10 years old. So I was like, oh,
that's cute.
Yeah,
that's adorable.
Yeah, especially like I think finding time for them helps like just slow down. Yeah. Did you ever have a burnout?
I would say I probably was burnt out, but not known that I was burnt out. Because I'm always like, I don't know, the energy just comes, and I keep going, and so I'm pretty sure I've been burnt out multiple times and just walked through it. But now my body's like, finally, I got to tell you something, and now
you're not listening to me.
Right.
I'm gonna shut down things. That's burnout is a thing. Have you ever had, like, I know you're always on the edge of it, but have it ever been like, okay, I need to just shut down everything?
I just like to hang out on a cliff, and sometimes I look down and I'm like, well, but that was too dark. I think I have been burned out for a few times. Yeah. Where like I have also like multiple things that I'm trying to do. Like we have the Normies. We have the Sauna Social, and then me and Chris have our business, and it's just been
whole thing.
It's a lot
where it's just like, especially when we started like the Sauna Social business, that was like that took over my weekends.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah.
And so and it was in the winter, so like I was already like dealing with like winter stuff, and like having winter depression, and then I had no weekends, and I'm like, you know what, maybe this is good. I'll keep busy, and I will not think about the sad things. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, I hate this.
Yeah, eventually just catch up to you.
It catches on.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So how is your business, like, if you, whatever you know now, if you have restarted, would you have done anything differently?
If I were to restart.
Yeah. If you have to do it like now with everything that you know.
It's a good question. I think that I would probably hire someone sooner.
Yeah.
than I did. I would.
That's always a thing. Yeah.
That's definitely, because that really helped me out.
Yeah.
I would also maybe rethink some of the things. So every year I try to photograph 50 women.
Mm-hmm.
That's like almost one a week.
Yeah. And so I would not going to do that. And actually, I am not doing that again because I still have a full-time job.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's something I would do differently. And I'm at the point where I'm just, because I wanted to hit 50. And so, like I said, I'm very goal-oriented. So I'm like, yeah, let's do the 50. But now I'm like, I don't need to do 50. I just want to help people.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But I guess that also helps with like knowing how many you want to do, kind of like financial perspective. You can forecast it that way. Like, this is how many I need to do. This is how much it's going to be, and blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Assuming you do your own accounting and bookkeeping and stuff.
Right. And it started out that way, but I think I didn't account for the time commitment in addition to other things, other things that I was doing.
Fair enough.
So I was just like, if I needed to meet this quota in order to be financially okay, wherever I wanted to be, but there was the time also, or like, the energy or everything else that goes into it. So now that I'm trying to reprioritize my life, you know, some other things can help, by having less quota, maybe your prices go up, or like, you just, or my goals that I'm trying to get to is not as high.
Gotcha.
So
Makes sense.
just kind of putting things in perspective.
Fair enough.
Who was your first client?
Oh, my first client with this, the campaign.
Yeah.
So I photographed the CEO of the organization that we supported last year. So Wendy No, she's the CEO of what's the name of it? I just lost it right now. Dove Recovery House for Women.
Okay.
Yeah. So
nice.
so when
Recovery.
I launched it, I wanted to. That was when we had talked about it. I wanted it to be as a gift to her. Originally, I think we had talked about photographing the ladies.
Yeah.
So be a gift to them, the experience and things like that. But for confidentiality purposes and things like that, we couldn't do that. So it was just a gift.
Got
for
it.
her. Yeah.
Got it. But, I mean, that was a very generous and nice thing. Like, because I think transforming yourself or just like looking good on camera, and seeing a picture that's really good can be really uplifting.
Empowering.
Yeah, empowering. Just to be like, oh yeah, I can look like this, and
Especially when we don't every day,
yeah, exactly. Do you see those moments happen a lot often?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I love what I do.
Yeah.
So a lot of women, it's not like we don't know that we're beautiful, but with just so much going on, right? But then once so the first hour and a half is just getting the hair, the makeup, and they're sipping on wine. They have the chocolate covered strawberry, which is amazing, by the way. And I'm playing their favorite music. So they're already feeling relaxed. We're tending to them. And so the moment they get on, when they put on their outfit and they're already feeling themselves, and then I take the first photo. Now, the way I photograph, you can see the images as they come off the camera immediate because I have multiple screens on my thing.
Gotcha. Oh, nice.
And so the moment they see that, it's like, oh my God, this is me. I'm like, yes, this is all you. So the confidence boost is incredible. And it's from there, it's just uphill, right? They're no longer nervous in front of the camera. It's like they want to do this, and just excited to like, let's try this, let's try that, so it's just easier. And for me, it's just so fulfilling to see someone feel that way. And I tell them, I'm like, I'm not going to be held responsible for how amazing you look at the end of the night. So make sure you plan out like a date night or something because you're going to be feeling great for, after
That's
that.
very true. That's actually a really good tip.
Yeah.
You might as well just go show this off to the world.
Exactly. Or go on a date with your spouse or your significant other or something. Yeah.
You're gonna have to go upstairs and tell Chris that because so he's a photographer and what we do is boudoir. So like it's kind of like the same thing where like if you like take girls pictures where they just like look all pretty and just like and have like lingerie or something that like don't wear very often,
right
and then like they see themselves just like, I'm hot.
Yes.
Like, oh my
yes.
God. So I mean that's impactful, right? And like I'm always if I'm the one he's taking pictures of, and I'm like, let me see the picture. I don't know if I did a good job. Like, do I look good? Like, I don't know if I'm like posing right or like showing my like I don't know, I'm insecure about this or that. It's just like I don't want to show that. You know?
Just want to know like where the hand is.
Show it to me. And he's always like, no, I'll see it after the shoot. And I'm like, after the shoot is late.
Right.
We can't fix that.
Well, so the thing about that though is that because we're our worst critic, right?
Yeah.
We can tend to see the worst of the photo. Right. So, but there's some clients that like when they see them, they're like, oh my, there are things like that. But I try to coach them before that. So it's one of the conversations that we have. Like, we have to remember why we're doing this. Right. A lot of the people that I photograph, they're using it for branding and marketing. And some people just want to do it for the experience. So I help them understand there's a lot of things that I can Photoshop out of it. Plus, what is it that you're conscious of? As a photographer, I can help you pose you or maybe light it in a different way or the angle to help that not be as noticeable. Yeah. And if all fails, we can do a little Photoshop here and there, right? Yeah. So when the photos come out, like, do not focus on that midsection that you don't, or the arm that you don't like, look at the overall photo and be in the moment and enjoy this moment, But then it also helps us like, okay, I love that fact that when you see the photo, like, let's try something new. So ideas jump off of that. So like, let's try this. How about we do that?
Yeah.
So
no, for sure. Yeah. I love Chris, but anytime he takes a picture of me and was like, tell me what to do. And he was like, oh, you're doing great. am I don't even know what I'm not doing anything. There's a great picture. I was like, I haven't moved. This is like, tell me. And then I will look at a picture after. I was like,
he probably thinks it's a great picture.
oh, he probably does. But I need to know exactly this worked. Oh, maybe let me do this because this will be even better.
Right.
So you just need to have that monitor. I think just for personal too.
Right. It's funny how you're saying this because as a photographer, we're probably looking at a lot of other technical things, like the lighting looks good, all of that.
Yeah.
But for me as a brand photographer, I'm also thinking about how we're using the photos. And then the reason why I also like to have all the rest of the team is then the hair person can focus on the hair, make sure the hair and the makeup looks good the whole time. I don't have to worry about that, right? And then the wardrobe stylist can make sure that because there's so many moving pieces, right? So I don't want to say it's not the fault of the photographer, but usually there's a million things going through our minds, like the settings, or the lighting, and when sometimes, at least I remember when I used to say in the beginning, I'm like, it looks good means it looks good on everything that I want to look good.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah. Fair enough.
But the person also, that's important too. So,
and you're right. I'm pretty sure they think they look good, but I was like, I'm looking at something else. I don't care about lighting. I don't care about the background. But it's funny. I will ask my mom to take a picture, and sometimes it's mom, so it's never good. So I was like, Mom, what are you doing? She was like, no, look at the background. I'm like, who gives a shit about the background? Look at me. Because sometimes she will take a picture I'm tiny and everything is a background. I was like, that's not what I asked you to do. I could take a picture of background myself. Where?
Funniest thing is when I have to take a picture of my parents.
Yeah.
Because they would just be like... what is this? Can you smile? Can you hug? I don't know, hold hands at least.
Do anything. Oh my God. That's how my parents were. They've gotten better now. Yeah. But
and then I'm like, okay, Mom, can you take my picture? And I'm extra. I'm just like
yeah.
And I just turn around and she's just like, where's your face? I just want a picture of my bag with this background. Step further away. She's like, that's stupid. Thanks, Mom.
Just take a picture.
That makes me feel real good.
That's hilarious. Oh my God, parents. But there's so much to it. It helps to knowing why I'm using this picture.
Oh yeah, that's why that conversation for me is probably one of the most important things. We need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
So that when we're taking the photos, we're both seeing the same. What goals are.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Photoshop also multiple times, and I don't know how I feel about Photoshop because this thing happened to me recently. And I didn't realize that I had a problem with it until it happened. So,
what do you mean? Oh, gotcha.
So I went to a photo shoot with a photographer that I haven't worked with before, and I was just like, I'm just gonna, I found a deal. Just I'm just gonna give this a try, because every time my photographer is Chris, he's my husband, and I'm just comfortable,
Right.
Just I'm gonna do something different.
Right.
And so that was different. And but everything went well. I felt good, And then once I got the pictures, I love the pictures, but in few of them, he photoshopped my nose to be way smaller.
Oh.
And I was just like, something wrong with my nose? I was just
thinking of things you wouldn't have. Yeah.
And also Photoshop my waistline. And I was just I feel this is something he should have asked me about, right?
Yeah. Well, I usually ask that question because some people are not okay with Photoshop, or the amount of Photoshop.
Right.
So I try to get it right in camera, with the lighting and everything. But I also know that a lot of us are conscious of certain things, right? And so it's important to have that conversation. What do you feel comfortable with?
Yeah.
That way you're not overdoing it.
It's definitely important.
Yeah, so it makes sense to be asking beforehand than to get a picture. Then wait a minute,
right?
Yeah.
There's something with my nose.
Or when you get it back, can we dial it down? Because you can dial it depending on how they've saved those files, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, let's reduce the amount of Photoshop. So the person should at least be open to okay, I can take that back and remove some,
Yeah. Did you ever have a conversation with that photographer?
No, I mean I wasn't gonna come back, and I was just I'm just gonna
It's whatever.
It was like I was supposed to do a different thing with this photographer, but then like it ended up getting canceled, so I got like just basically almost a free photo shoot. So I felt like I'm not gonna bother him anymore. You know, it was kind of like a kindness thing that he did.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I was just like, it's fine, but when I saw that nose, I was just like, what's going on?
Your nose is perfectly fine. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Why?
That's funny.
That was a little weird. I was just like, I guess maybe I should tell him that he should ask people first.
Yeah, it's a good feedback to have because some people don't, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially if you're already insecure and like somebody photo shoot you to kind
I
of
wasn't insecure until then.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Like I didn't know it. Now you have another thing to think about.
Right. Another thing to add to the list.
Exactly. But I remember like I think reading comments just on YouTube. Sometimes people say things like, I didn't know I was supposed to think about this, or like it's like just to bring some insecurity. It's like yeah, it's fine. So where do you see your business going in next few years? Like what is your brand like big vision?
So more coaching.
Yeah.
So I want to do more of the strategy, you know, because before you take a photo, you know, and I love taking the photos. I want to help people take the photos. Like you need to kind of really know why you're taking those photos. What's your business model like? What is the strategy for marketing and things like that? So I want to start having those conversations way before the need for a photo shoot. So a lot of my clients, like I said, business owners, small business owners, new business owners, or professionals with side hustles, you know, as a professional, you know, the company has everything for you. You don't have to think about a lot of things, right? But now as a business owner, you have to think about marketing and all of this. And it's new, right? So I want to start helping people have that conversation up front. So that way you can better plan what you're marketing, or whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, or whatever it is, and then what are the images you need in order to show up how you want to show up in those platforms, or however you want to use those photos. So
no, that makes sense. Is that something your goal to start doing it sooner, or are you just thinking about it early stages?
It's funny because I do have some coaching clients now. So I have about 4 or 5 clients that I'm already coaching. And so maybe when I have more of that, then my business can be virtual and I can move all to another state.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's always like the goal, right? Like let's make it as remote as possible. Right. Yeah, we're kind of stuck here now, but I mean, I guess.
I'm not stuck.
No, I think that's always one of those things. It's like, no, we can do whatever we do wherever. It's just a matter of packing it up and putting it somewhere else.
And there's a lot of mobile, you know, equipment too now. So.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But
You're not stuck.
Oh no, yeah, no, sorry, I used the word. We will continue doing what we're doing anywhere, so it doesn't matter. But no, thank you so much for joining us. This has been really fun. Is there something that you would like to let our audience know, where to find you and everything?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This was a wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed my time here. And so if all my information is on my website, victoriaodekomaya.com.
It will be the title.
Right, figured. So that's where you can find all my about my work, and you find my Instagram and Facebook. It's probably easiest to do it that way. So and my YouTube channel and everything else will be on from my website.
So are you keeping your podcast on YouTube specifically?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's the way to go now, right? Right. It's a video podcast, so it's YouTube first for me.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome.
I'm excited about it. So we are gonna rate someone. Who are we rating? Select a 2720. That one. Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Remember, we will be back tomorrow for One Piece stream on Thursday and other streams throughout the week.
I will be live on Friday streaming Zelda.
There you go, and we'll see you then. Thank you so much for joining. Bye.
Get ready, cause it's about time for you to speak your mind. Super secret girls club. Super secret girls club. Super secret girls club.
Yeah, really good. Good.